and good luck. And welcome back to Good Luck with Gino. I'm your host, Gino the Ghost, and you're tuned in to episode 145 of the fastest growing podcast in the world. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure you save it to your device, give it a 5-star review, and subscribe to the show. Send it to a loved one or an arch nemesis. If you're watching on YouTube, like you should be, isn't that right, Gengar? Isn't that right, baby Gengar? Isn't that right, super rare pop 105 triumphant Gengar? Yeah, we got a heavy hitter card in here for today. If you're watching on YouTube like you should be, tap that like button, smash the fuck out of that subscribe button, and grease up that algorithm by leaving a comment, because you're an oil man. And I know the Strait of Hormuz is closed, but don't worry. We got plenty of Iranian oil coming through the States, which we'll get to later. If you're joining us today, you'll see that I have a single curl coming down my hair. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what I did, but enjoy it. I don't know if it's going to be back. I feel like a greaser in like one of those old movies, picking on some kid in a fucking, in a hallway, you know? What are you doing here, nerd? It was my birthday this past week. Many of you wished me happy birthday. Thank you. Many of you didn't. And I will be sending a Palantir drone strike to the homes of your loved ones. This episode is brought to you by Palantir. I had an amazing birthday. Very low-key, went to a spa. I had a big, fun birthday dinner with a few friends at a Korean barbecue place called a Baekjong, which I love. I've been there before. I went there with Bumzu, who's a huge K-pop producer. And I met the owner. He had followed me on Instagram. I made the reservation for the birthday dinner. Now, when I do a birthday dinner, I don't want people to pay for my birthday dinner. I will be paying for the birthday dinner. I've invited you to my birthday dinner. It's going to be a lot of money because there's going to be a lot of food. I know there's a big, people don't really know. People sit on two different sides of the fence usually for this. I am of the believer that I'm going to pay for that birthday dinner. Now, my friends might be like, no, I got it. No, I got it. No, I got it. Okay? So the meal was incredible. We got so much food, of course, because it's Korean barbecue and it's like the best Korean barbecue in town. The bill comes. I go, all right, I got the bill. And before I can even pull out my card, the waitress goes, Michael's taking care of your bill. Your entire meal has been comped. And I go, what? And everyone goes, what? But I'm really like, what? Because this is going to be like an $800 bill. And I am getting a little emotional. And then they say, all he wants is an autograph. And now I'm blushing. And now I got to act like, I'm like trying to play it cool. I'm like, oh, and everyone's like, oh my God, what the fuck? It turns out he's a huge K-pop fan. He loves a lot of my work. And he asked for my fucking autograph. So that was kind of a crazy, surreal moment. And I played it off. My friends that were there would never know. But it was a big one for me. So happy birthday to me. Also, Free Spirits is out now by Paco y Catriel Amoroso, or Catriel y Paco Amoroso. I got the fucking name. We had a lot of fun doing the album. It was amazing. It came out so cool. It's Jack Black's on it. Anderson .Paak is on it. Fred Again's on it. We had so much fun making that album. I don't have a favorite song. But I do. The first song is very near and dear to my heart. It's called Nada Nuevo, and the lyric is Nadie inventa nada nuevo, which is basically like nobody invents anything new anymore. And that's kind of what we set out to do when we made the album, is make something new. Every time we step in the booth, we want to kind of push the boundaries of music, right? And we feel like we did that again. So make sure you stream that, check that out. There's also the full short film on YouTube, which I encourage watching. The last short film for Popota won the Grammy. I would be shocked if this one doesn't, because it's incredible. They fucking killed it. So make sure you go watch that. Speaking of movies and awards, I saw Project Hail Mary this past week, and holy shit, dude. 10 out of 10. Cinema. You have to see it in IMAX, which is going to be tough because it's sold out everywhere. Movies are back on the menu this year. It's going to be a big year for movies. This is kicking it off. It's a perfect sci-fi film. It's the best sci-fi film I've seen since Interstellar. It's getting a lot of Interstellar comparisons. It's a little funnier and lighter but it's still very beautiful and emotional. A thug tear was shed. Make sure you go watch it. It's so fucking good. And Ryan Gosling is just a darling, isn't he? Ryan Gosling. It's Ryan Gosling's world, and we're all living in it. This guy has not missed, dude. He's unreal in this movie. So I cannot recommend it enough. Go see it now. Now, Ryan Gosling hasn't taken an L, but you know who has? Our dear friend LaRussell. You can't spell LaRussell without L. LaRussell has 3 L's in his name. And he took 3 L's because first he posted that Heaven Sent song. The internet dragged him. Then he doubled down. Well, then he tripled down. And he just would not let it go. He was gaslighting everybody and being like, you know, well, I don't want to put, just the point is he fucked up so bad by just tripling down on this stupid song and the horrible point he was trying to make. My video went very viral. Many people's videos and content went viral making fun of him, which is too bad. But sometimes, you know, you say something really dumb and your reaction will garner people to add fuel to the fire, right? And so it has all led to he has deactivated all of his social media accounts. Now, he DM'd me after my video went up and just sent some cry face emojis. Like, he laughed. He thought it was funny, I guess. I left him a long voice note like, hey, brother, thanks for being a good sport. Look, you know, I make fun of people on the internet for a living. Obviously, I had no choice to make fun of you for this dumbass song, but I know you mean well. Keep doing your thing. Congrats on the success. Yeah, you know, just kind of take the L and move on type shit. He did not. And I think there's an important lesson here. We're going to kick off the show with an important lesson. Something that I learned back in the day in high school. Me and my group of friends, we're all ball busters. We're all shit talkers. And we all, you know, we have hot takes, right? I mean, it's become my life as a show about hot takes kind of. And sometimes, you know, when you take a lot of swings and you're opinionated and you're outgoing and you're extroverted, and sometimes you say some dumb shit. Sometimes you fuck up. And there is power in taking the L. Sometimes you just got to take the L. You know, if you fuck up, if you're losing, you got to take the L. There's freedom in taking the L. There's power in taking the L. In the Art of War, a famous book by Sun Tzu, a famous Chinese general, there's something about ground. And when you have the low ground in a fight, your best strategic option is to run away, is to retreat. That is power. That is winning. That is being smart. So when you say some dumb shit on the internet, and the vultures and the sharks of the internet, and I'm one of them, I'm a great white shark on the internet. You don't want to end up on my page. You don't want to end up on the Good Luck with Gino show. If you end up on the Good Luck with Gino show and shows like it and content creators like it are feasting off the remains of your dumb shit that you've put on the internet, you got to take the L. If he had just come out and said, you know what, look, this one didn't quite land how I intended. Obviously, I meant well. I obviously don't fuck with Adolf Hitler and Epstein. I was trying to say this, and I didn't word it quite right. And the jokes have been funny. You got me. I'm going to take the L and move down immediately. We would have all moved down immediately. You know, you've made a bad point. You know it already. Take the L. The problem is the stubbornness. The problem is you are now gaslighting people and telling them that they're wrong. That's going to cause them to fester and get angry and push back, right? And again, you're adding tinder to the fire. And so just take the L, man. It may not seem like it. You might not even be wrong, but sometimes you just got to take the L. I posted a video last year. I forget what the fuck I was even talking about, but like it started taking a weird turn in the discourse. Like people started saying like something I said was a little like, I don't fucking remember. It was like transphobic or like racially insensitive or some shit, which obviously I'm not, right? But like I just didn't like where it was going and it was just not worth it to me. And so I was like, all right, I'm just going to fucking delete this video. And I just deleted it. And guess what? It went away. take the L. Speaking of taking the L, let's talk music. Let's talk music news. We got a lot to cover today. I'm going to be fucking rapid firing. What's in this unbranded water today? Just water. But you wouldn't know listening to the show. You'd think I'm taking something else. A North Carolina musician just pled guilty to stealing $8 million in royalties using AI-generated music and bot-driven streams. Here's what happened. He generated thousands of fake songs with AI and then used massive bot farms to stream them to, a billion streams, basically, across all of the songs, across all of the platforms, on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. So it wasn't a glitch. It was an industry-scale fraud that he ran for years. And now, this whole lawsuit is broke. He got arrested pretty much and hit with a fraud charge. And now you've got people on the internet saying, good, he's stealing from corporations. I don't see anything wrong with this. And that's just not true. It's kind of true, but he's stealing from a shared royalty pool that affects all musicians. The way that streaming revenue works is there is one giant royalty pool that is distributed amongst everybody. And so when these streaming farms and these AI generated songs that are just AI slop, they all take from that payout. Streaming payouts come from a shared pool. So every fake stream that he generated is money taken away from real artists like me. Okay? Independent musicians, small creators, songwriters, producers. Those people are all getting fractions of a penny already. 0.003 cents a stream. Okay? And that number is going to get lower and lower as this becomes more and more prevalent. This is what people don't understand about streaming. This is why I be trying to break shit down. You understand? It's not like platform versus artist directly. Obviously, Spotify is like, you know how I feel about Daniel Ek and Spotify. You know how I feel about the streaming agent payouts. It is shifting from artist versus platform to PvP. And it picks in a fixed pie. And a lot of that stems from, Spotify's Discover, where you have to opt into Discover to basically the only way you can even get discovered and end up on a Discover playlist is to opt into this algorithm enhancer where you get even less money, but you have to be in it. And now everybody has to join it. And it's just a zero-sum game. So when someone floods the system with fake engagement, they're diluting everyone's earnings even more. And this case is exposing the biggest issue, which I've been screaming about since this whole thing has kind of started. And if you watch my show for the past 2 years, you've heard it. AI plus automation has made it insanely easy to generate content at scale, fake engagement at scale, and monetize both before anyone notices. We've seen dead internet theory just across social media, but you are now seeing it in media, music, film, mainly music. And the biggest fear of AI is not AI taking our jobs. You guys know, and I work with a lot of these AI companies. I do a lot of work with Suno, okay? And I love Suno. And I think that there's a lot of good things that AI brings to music. But the big fear of AI is not AI replacing songwriters and producers and artists. It's that AI is going to devalue music even further through what I'm calling dead Spotify internet theory. Because there's going to be so much output of just not real musicians making AI, but these fucking scammers and just people who are like, I want to make a song. That just upload it and gets like 3 streams and whatever, So what we're going to need to see is like a higher threshold, I think, because we're going to see 100 times the fake music, 100 times the fake streams from 100 times the fake accounts. And if these platforms can't detect it fast enough, the entire ecosystem becomes a race to zero. That's less money for real artists, more incentives to cheat, more AI slop. And it's a problem. It's just the beginning of what AI-enabled fraud is going to look like in music, and we got to do something about it. Yeah. What is the answer to that question? I don't know. I'm just a podcaster. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just a songwriter and a podcaster. What do I know? I got other stuff to talk about. More music stuff? Sure. Let's talk about Afroman. You guys remember Afroman? Because I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. Da, 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 da. He's a millennial marvel. Everybody loves Afroman. So here's what's going on with Afroman if you haven't seen the news. Hilarious story. A hilarious story brought to us by Afroman, the legendary rapper. Cops wrongfully raid hip-hop legend Afroman's house. They steal money from him. They break down his door. They fuck his house up. And at the end of this raid, they find no criminality whatsoever. No charges at all are pressed. They eat his food. They trash the place. Afroman spends the next 3 years making songs that make fun of all the officers involved by name. He uses footage from the raid. Hit songs include Randy Walters is a son of a bitch, Lick 'em Low Lisa, which is a song accusing one of the officers of being a lesbian, and sleeping with one of the officers' wives. Now, Afroman also makes a full album calling one officer fat because during the raid, this officer looked like he was about to eat some lemon pound cake sitting on Afroman's counter. I'm going to play that song now. It's hilarious.
The Adams County Sheriff kicked down my door. Then I heard the glass break.
With footage.
They found no kidnapping victims, just some lemon pound cake. Mama's lemon pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice. Of what? Of what? Lemon pound cake. He wanna put down his glide. Lemon pound cake.
I mean, incredible. So, the cops get mad after 3 years of Afroman songs about them, and they file a defamation lawsuit for $4 million. Afroman's response? This song.
Afroman will bring it to ya. Afroman is gonna do ya. Afroman is gonna screw ya. My proof's on the internet. They vandalized my property. My money came up short. They disconnect my cameras because they are a poor sport. They're the predators and the victims, and they're suing me in court. My proof's on the internet.
So Afroman then turns up to court in this full American flag suit. The officers performatively cry while listening to the songs in court, really trying to oversell how badly the songs upset them. One officer... and this was kind of the turning point in the case, one officer sued Afroman because he made a song about fucking his wife. And when the officer was questioned if Afroman was indeed fucking his wife, he was basically trapped into saying, I don't know, because he legally could not confirm or deny. He can't say, well, no, of course Afroman isn't fucking my wife, because then his entire claim of mental anguish is thrown out, which is what he's suing over. He can't say, yes, Afroman did fuck my wife because, well, then he's telling the whole world that Afroman fucked his wife, which he's probably not, but you can't say that. And maybe he is. So he had to go with, I don't know, which killed his own case and established that there is a non-zero chance that Afroman might actually be fucking his wife. A catch-22. Genius work by Afroman's attorney, who, for all we know, might be Saul Goodman. Per case law, it is now legal to tell a cop that you fucked his wife. It's just pure comedy. The jury ruled in favor of Afroman, which basically was them saying, sorry, losers, you can't wrongfully raid a man's home, steal money from him, and then sue when you get made fun of. It's probably the funniest shit of the year so far, and a true win for free speech, you know? The American flag three-piece suit was a great touch, I must say. A much-needed win for America in a time where they're hard to come by. And that is a pretty fitting transition into a more political segment. Now, you guys know I don't really like to get political, right? That's not really my job. But you know who does like to get political? Well, that, of course, is lead correspondent over at the most trusted source of news, GNN. Now, as far as I know, we haven't been bought up yet. Larry Ellison hasn't got his mangy mitts on GNN, so let's turn it over to Gino Borri. Gino, can you tell us what's going on in the world? Welcome to GNN, your leading source of news, politics, and this week, I'm an oil man. And now your host, Gino Borri. Good afternoon, I'm your host, Gino Borri, and this is the news. So, the whole internet spent the week trying to figure out if Benjamin Netanyahu is dead or not. First, he's been suspiciously missing from several global speaking engagements and key Israeli intelligence meetings, which set off some alarms. Then, to prove he wasn't dead and silence the rumors that started to circulate, he posted a few videos that were pretty obviously AI. A missing finger, a disappearing ring, an extra ear canal, a closing pocket, a growing dress shirt. All things pointed out in recent videos that were, well, probably AI, right? And I think the key point here is that we are fully emerged in the post-truth era. I've done a full episode on this, and it was when Sora AI came out, I believe. But basically, you just cannot believe anything you see on the internet anymore. Videos and photos. I mean, we used to live in a time where you could open up your phone or your computer and you just could trust that things weren't fully doctored. Maybe some girl was using Facetune and gave herself a skinnier waist and some fatter ass and some bigger titties, and maybe, some people use it. I've never even heard of that app, but some people apparently use it. But now you just don't know if these full-fledged videos are AI or not, and we all know that the government has better AI than we do. So whether or not he's actually dead or not, any video posted from now on will be held to extremely high scrutiny and probably passed off as AI by a lot of people. The lines between conspiracy and reality are blurring by the day. Like every day I get on the fucking internet, it feels like I'm walking into a house of funhouse mirrors, and I can't tell what's going on. I don't know if he's actually killed. Probably not. He just did a big press conference today with a bunch of people from a bunch of different angles. That video came out, but I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't verify. It's going to get increasingly difficult to differentiate what's real or not. And that's scary, dude. This is one of the most powerful leaders in the world, and we just don't know if he's dead. We can't confirm if he's alive or not. And think about if he is alive and he's just like, everybody, I'm alive. No, I'm really here. And we're like, no, you're not, you dead son of a bitch. That should terrify you. And I shouldn't have to spell out why it should terrify you. Use your imagination. Now, I can spell out why other things should terrify you. For example, this fun update we have on the war in Iran. And that's going to be our main story today. We're going to talk about what the U.S. has, because we're all oil men here, right? Me, you, whoever's watching back home, your family. Oh, you're an oil man. It's a family business, right? Trump announced that the U.S. will be lifting sanctions on Iranian oil, allowing them to sell over 140 million barrels. That's roughly $14 billion headed to Iran. And in good faith, I don't think I can do this segment in the Cardis. They're pretty sick Cardis, right? But I'm feeling something coming on. I'm reaching for the pitties. It's time for a Pit Viper mega rant. Pit Viper mega rant. Pit Viper mega rant. Lock in, folks. It's time for a quick history lesson. Obama agreed to a $1.3 billion deal in sanctions relief for Iran as part of a deal that prevented both an Iranian nuke and the war. You may remember this deal. It was a very famous deal, the Iranian deal. And it's very famous because as soon as Trump got elected, he withdrew from that agreement. And now has started a war that could go nuclear at any moment, while simultaneously giving Iran $14 billion in sanctions relief. What are we doing? It's the first time that the U.S. is buying Iranian oil since 1996, and it's happening in the middle of a war against Iran. So to recap, we have replaced Khamenei, the Ayatollah, with a younger, more radical Khamenei, wiped $1 trillion from the stock market, fucked Gino's portfolio, and lifted oil sanctions on the country that we're at war with currently. Nice. Art of the deal, baby. Art of the deal. Trump has truly been spitting into the fucking wind ever since he's been elected. I'm an oil man. This is my son, J.D. Vance. I'm building a pipeline that will allow Iran to sell billions of dollars in oil to help slow down the cost of gas for this town because of the war I started with said country. I'm an oil man. I'm a dumb fuck. The level of incompetence, the level of fuck-uppetry it takes for you to start a war with said country, not realize, hey, they just might close off the Strait of Hormuz as leverage. They just might do that and collapse the global economy and your economy and raise gas prices, which is the only thing that you give a fuck about, so that you now have been backed into the corner of having to give that country $14 billion in oil revenue. You now have to bend the knee. The once proud nation, the United States, firmly seated in the corner of the hotel room in the global cuck chair. Let's pass it over to this administration's lead cuck-spondit, Scott Bessent. Scott, what do you have to say about this?
Talk about your announcement this past week. On Friday, the Treasury Department lifted sanctions on Iranian oil stored on tankers, a move that would effectively allow Iran to get more than $14 billion of oil revenue. Why is the U.S. helping to fund a country that it's currently at war with, Mr. Secretary?
Again, Kristen, why don't we have good facts here? That Iranian oil was always going to be sold to the Chinese. It was going to be sold at a discount. So which is better, Kristen? Which is better? If oil prices spiked to $150 and they were getting 70% of that, or oil prices below 100, it's better to have them where they are now. And to be clear, we had always planned for this contingency. About 140 million barrels are out on the water. In essence, we are jujitsuing the Iranians. We're using their own oil against them. We have a much better line of sight, to be clear, at Treasury when this oil goes to, if it goes to Indonesia, if it goes to Japan, if it goes to Korea, we have a much better.
We've gone from mental gymnastics to mental jujitsu. We're jujitsuing the Iranian oil back to them. I can't wait to jujitsu my taxes this year. I currently jujitsuing my landlord into paying my rent for me with his own money. Possibly, I'm going to go out on a limb here. Possibly the stupidest thing Scott Bessent has ever said, and that is saying something. And, not for nothing, there's got to be somebody better than this Sesame Street character they can trot out there to instill a little bit of confidence, It sounds like Will Ferrell doing a bit. And now motherfuckers are like, I got to tell you, high gas prices are actually a good thing. Oh, you stupid, silly libtards. You think that are you a patriot or what? Then suck it up and pay. Okay, what? So I got to pay an extra $1.50 at the pump. Okay, what? So to fill up my tank, it's $90 instead of $50. So what? Well, tell that to your fearless leader, Donald Trump. Why is Trump freaking out? Because gas prices are the only thing that simple-ass voter base that he has gets riled up over. Apparently, not the economic collapse from tariffs or the blatant fraud or enriching himself billions of dollars or the killing of U.S. citizens with a secret police force, which we'll get to later, or even being named thousands of times in the pedophiles. This is where the troglodytes draw the line. Right here. It's just, I can't even, how can you not look at this and think that this is the stupidest fucking thing anybody has ever done? You're lifting the sanctions of the country that you're at war with. You're putting $14 billion of revenue in their pocket while you're bombing them? Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, can you shed a little bit of light on this? What's going on? I mean, what's happening here,
to that
man?
point on capabilities, Iran's an energy-rich country, should be.
Right.
Instead, like so many other places driven by a radical ideology, they've spent that money instead of investing in their people. And that's why you had millions of Iranians protesting, because they felt like their quality of life didn't match what it could be or should be. And what was the Iranian state? There's a reason we call Iran the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, because they took the money they make and they invest it in tunnels, and they invested in missiles, and they invested in launchers and UAVs, and we are destroying and degrading that in historic proportions. But it doesn't mean they won't still have some and try to hold people at issue, which is why we're fighting every single day to continue to compel. And you mentioned embassies and consulates. Unlike previous administrations, we are doubling and tripling down on ensuring that our people, regardless of their Department of War, Department of State, whatever they do, are secure in those facilities. And the best defense is a good offense.
Right.
And so we're not afraid to go after and kill anybody, and we have a lot of them attempting to target our diplomatic facilities
with a lot of money, right? Hey, Scott, the call is coming from inside the country. I mean, he's so close to getting it. If it had teeth, it would bite him. He just described our country. I mean, what a rich monologue coming from the guy that just asked Congress for $200 billion in taxpayer money to fund a stupid fucking war. This is rich coming from the guy who spent $93 million on lobster and prime rib for the U.S. soldiers he's sending to die in World War E. The E is for Epstein. The country that spends trillions of dollars on its military and foreign entanglements while its citizens don't have affordable health care or any health care has something to say about how the other country is spending their money. We spend 5 times the amount of money on war than the second next country, which is China. The absolute, what's the word I want to use? Not irony. This isn't an example of irony, because irony typically happens by accident. This is hypocrisy, which is a decision. You choose to be hypocritical, whether you know it or not. You're making a choice. Why is the American news cycle just an amalgamation of Idiocracy, Black Mirror, and South Park? Every fucking day I turn on the news. Cancel April Fool's Day, because every press conference is a funnier prank. But wait, there's more. The pitties are staying on. Because this next story is something very near and dear to my heart, and that, of course, is the airport. First, I'm going to take a sip of unbranded water. We might be going a little over an hour today. I'm fired up, folks. Because flying wasn't a horrible enough experience already, the U.S. government has thrown its hat in the ring to make it insurmountably worse the past couple of weeks. After completely defunding TSA, security has gotten as bad as 4-hour waits in some airports across the country. The solution? The president is sending ICE agents to help out amidst the shutdown. Oh my God. Reminder, this is all happening because Democrats asked for ICE reform, saying that ICE agents should require warrants before illegally entering your house. Hello, Afroman. Shout out Afroman. And show identification when illegally arresting you. Republicans responded by holding TSA hostage and now sending those untrained masked vigilante Gestapo into the airports. That's your solution? Here's Tom Homan talking about that.
President Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "If the radical left Democrats don't immediately sign an agreement to let our country, in particular our airports, be free and safe again, I will move our brilliant and patriotic ICE agents to the airports where they will do security like no one has ever seen before." Now, in a subsequent post, he said that he instructed ICE agents to be ready by Monday. And now the president is saying that you, sir, are going to be in charge. How is that going to work? Are ICE agents going to move into American airports starting tomorrow, Monday?
Yes. And I'm currently working on the plan now of execution, working with the director of ICE and the administrator at TSA, the acting administrator. So we'll put together a plan today and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And, you know, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of criminal investigation on smuggling at airports. But, you know, there's got TSA agents covering exits, you know, people that enter through the exits. You know, certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer can cover an exit, makes people don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits. And that stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an x-ray machine because they're not trained in that. But there are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they are going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the lines and screening people's bags.
Those discussions are going on now. I'm not expert at TSA, so that's why I'm talking to the TSA administrator and the ICE director, find out where we can fit in. We'll have a plan by the end of today where we're sending, what airports we're starting with and where we're sending them, but that's a discussion we're having right now. I mean, I ended the discussion to do the show, and I'll be back having those discussions when I finish. So it's a work in progress, but we will be at the airports tomorrow helping TSA move those lines along.
Well, that sounds good. A couple things I want to point out. High level of training. Yeah. Sending the dumbest, most aggressive, xenophobic people in the world to one of the most high-stress environments imaginable, where immigrants are trying to come in and out of the country, what could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? I can't wait to get shot in the chest for trying to check a cologne bottle over 3.4 ounces. You better hope Grandpa's hip replacement doesn't set off the metal detector, or they're going to spray bear mace in his face and drag him across the fucking conveyor belt. Is your 7-year-old daughter going to forget to take her shoes off? I sure hope not. They're going to chapel roan her back to the baggage claim. That scene in Civil War with Jesse Plemons. Pre-check. Well, what kind of pre-check are you? Clear or non-clear? Well, what kind of American Airlines? Surely introducing the most hated group in America into the most hated experience in America will be a great idea for the old approval rating right before midterms, yeah? Who's more miserable, an ICE agent or a TSA agent? An ICE agent, a TSA agent, and Caroline Leavitt walk into a bar. Something else he said that was particularly alarming. ICE can check identification before people enter the screening area. Nice. A checkpoint before the checkpoint. That'll speed things up. Cool, I can't wait for some fucking airhead to look at my ID before I go up to another airhead to look at my ID into the scan. They have a scan. They literally have they have an AI scanning thing of your face and your ID already. We don't need an agent to do another checkpoint. Why are they doing that? Well, you know why. Intimidation, racism. More bullshit intimidation tactics. Yeah, that's a great plan right before the World Cup with all the tourists coming into the country to watch the soccer matches and give us their money. Great plan. I don't even think it's fair to call it a plan because they don't have plans. Do they even plan at all? They just fly by the seat of their pants. I don't know. We could just stick ICE in there. No, I'm not going to do that. That's, you know what? That's not giving them enough credit. This is how we got into this position. Republicans have blocked 7 bills for standalone TSA funding. Why? Because TSA isn't being funded because Republicans want to privatize it. It's all in Project 2025. Remember the thing that they've followed to a T since the election that you all told me not to worry about, that you told me I was exaggerating over? Remember that when I went, I'm not being dramatic, and I wasn't being dramatic because it's literally just all playing out in front of you. There's one more thing I want to talk about. We're fucking rapid firing right now, dude. Trump celebrated Robert Mueller dying. We all saw this. Robert Mueller died, who obviously is one of the people that led the Russia thing against Donald Trump. And Donald Trump tweeted this: Robert Mueller just died. Good. I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. President Donald J. Trump. Just a quick reminder, this was Vice President J.D. Vance when Charlie Kirk died.
We have a First Amendment in this country. The First Amendment protects a lot of very ugly speech. But if you celebrate Charlie Kirk's death, you should not be protected from being fired for being a disgusting person.
That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. JD. You should be fired for being a disgusting person. Donald Trump, I mean, you know, you're the man that just tweeted this. What say you about Charlie Kirk when Charlie Kirk died? What did you have to say when people celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't.
Oh. Is that right? You know, bold of Donald Trump to spit in Karma's face like this so close to Father Time's front door. Because all you're doing is arming everybody who fucking hate you with the ammunition to victory lap your demise. And I'm noticing Republicans that were up in arms over people celebrating Charlie Kirk's death are unsurprisingly radio silent on this one. And I just find that so interesting. We are going to go ahead and head on over to everyone's favorite segment. I'm going to take off the pitties, and you are going to tune in to the FOH HOF, the Fuck Outta Here Hall of Fame.
Everything he touched go crazy. Crypto punkin' baby. LA to Vegas, catch him in your city, better hide your main bitch. Good luck, baby. Good luck, baby. Good luck, baby. Show about to start soon. Good luck, baby.
Welcome back to the FOH HOF, the Fuck Outta Here Hall of Fame. Our first clip is brought to us by a street interview from Don Lemon that has been making the rounds. This one's a little political. It's not really political. It's just about politics in general. But this is what I call the full spectrum of stupid.
How do you feel about the war in Iran?
I think Trump's doing the right thing, honestly.
What's up?
I got no comment on that.
You don't know why?
Nah, I'm just taking a guess.
You're just guessing that he's doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think Trump's doing the right thing.
Is this a joke?
What?
Is this a joke?
Yeah.
It's
no,
a joke?
It's not.
All right, you can fucking drive home, bro. Or walk home, sorry.
Damn, I don't know what just happened. All right.
But he doesn't even know why.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just think, like, it's not good for the economy. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't really give a fuck about the war. Smoke weed, get money, fuck bitches. Hell yeah.
Well, if it isn't Ed, and Eddie. Again, here we have the full spectrum of stupid. This fully encapsulates American politics right now in 2026. You got cultist MAGA supporter that doesn't even know why he supports Trump anymore. You got Democrat who doesn't even know why Trump is bad. He just gets spoon-fed headlines and rage bait all day and just kind of runs with it, doesn't look into anything for himself. And then you got the, I don't pay attention to politics, fuck bitches, get money guy who is doing neither. All three are absolutely cooked and showcase this country's lack of class consciousness. And I don't really have too much to add to this, but I don't think it's going to get better. I'm growing increasingly pessimistic about the level of intelligence because the thing is we all receive such tailored news now. For example, you happen to get the most trusted source of news, but not everybody does. A lot of people are living in algorithmic hell that are literally only feeding them, of course, the farthest left and the farthest right. And some people want to just doom scroll slop all day and, throw their money into the furnace of OnlyFans and brain rot. And that's this third guy. They don't care about politics. It doesn't affect me. Well, it does. Okay? And I get so many, whenever I do political content, I get people like, what? I fuck with you, bro. Like, I agree with pretty much everything you say, but I just wish you wouldn't get political, bro. Yo, I fuck with your shit, bro, but I don't really, politically, shut up and dribble type beat, and suck my dick, respectively. And I told my mother I wouldn't say that on my show anymore. I'm sorry, Mom. I had to break it just this one time. I have to. How can you just ignore it? How? Not only ignore it, how does it not fire you up? I don't know, man. Anyway, next video. Let's talk about Marc Andreesen. If you don't know who Marc Andreesen is, he's a billionaire investor. He's the head of Andreessen Horowitz. He's worth about $1.9 billion. He sat down for an interview, and this is what he had to say.
You don't have any levels of introspection.
Yes, zero, as little as possible.
Why?
Move forward, go. Yeah, I don't know. I found people who dwell on the past get stuck in the past. It's a real problem, and it's a problem at work and it's a problem at home.
So I've read obviously 400, I think now 10 biographies of history-based entrepreneurs,
yep.
And that was one of the most surprising things. What's the most surprising thing that you've learned from this? So they have little or zero introspection.
Yep.
Like Sam Walton didn't wake up thinking about his internal self. He just woke up. He's like, I like building Walmart. I'm going to keep building Walmart. I'm going to make more Walmarts, and just kept doing it over and over again.
And you probably know if you go back, 400 years ago, it never would have occurred to anybody to be introspective. It's the whole idea of, all of the modern conceptions around introspection and therapy and all the things that kind of result from that are, kind of manufactured in the 1910s, 1920s.
Say more about that.
Great men of history didn't sit around doing this stuff at any prior point, right? It's all a new construct. So first Western civilization had to kind of invent the concept of the individual, right? Which was like a new concept, several hundred years ago. And then, for a long time it was, all right, the individual runs, right, and does all these things and builds things and builds empires and builds companies and builds technology, does all these things, and then kind of this kind of guilt-based whammy kind of showed up.
Yeah,
from
and
Europe.
And this is just an example of talking fast and and just acting like you're really smart. And I like to call it pseudo-intellectualism, right? And so when you actually just don't say anything fucking factual at all, right? These people are legit sociopaths. What do you mean there are no famous examples of leaders or thought leaders talking about introspection? Yes, famously, there are no quotes on introspection in philosophy from any great men of history. Has this man heard of Plato? When Socrates said, the purpose of life is to know thyself, he was just riffing? Marcus Aurelius, famously non-introspective. The Renaissance and Enlightenment eras, not introspective. This is an example of how you can be really, really, really smart and really wealthy and yet so fucking stupid at the same time. We live in a society that rewards sociopathic behavior. What else did you expect? We live in a society. In my Joker voice. That was a pretty good Joker impression. Billionaires keep doing interviews and proudly exclaiming, I don't have morals or a soul, and I'm not really human, to be honest, if you look closely. And, what's the big deal? And, who cares about having heart or thinking about things or having mistakes or regrets and reviewing them and thinking about how my actions affect others, and then wonder why people loathe them. I need a little bit of water here. I mean, conspiracy theorists are right about child sex trafficking and JFK. Maybe they're right about lizard people too. Maybe Marc Andreesen is a lizard person. Because what do you mean you are not introspective? You don't ever just think about things? What? You just wake up and you're like, go, go, go. What's on today's agenda? What am I doing today? You don't reminisce. You don't have memories. You don't dwell. You don't think at all. You are being intentionally daft. And you're lying also. And this kind of thinking is extremely dangerous and, for most people, unrealistic and stupid. And it's going to tie into our last thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the Manosphere. Because it's kind of relevant. It's kind of adjacent to this. I recently watched The Manosphere, which is the Louis Theroux documentary on Netflix about the Red Pill movement. And, I'm proud to be a pioneer in the movement of making fun of these dickheads and trying to save young, impressionable men into avoiding this red pill rabbit hole. But I want to explain something. I want to lay this out and conclude the show with it. I want to explain the course-selling grifter to red pill content creator to Nazi pipeline. Because the Venn diagram is often a circle, and it's fascinating to watch it unfold over these past few years during the male loneliness epidemic. And this documentary from Louis Theroux kind of shows that. And if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. But I'm going to break it down for you. So it starts with, the initial grift, which is most creators start with like something low stakes and relatable for many young, impressionable men. So dating frustrations, self-improvement, being broke usually are the big three. Well, those get packaged into a solution that you can buy, which is typically courses, coaching, mentorship, real estate money schemes, escape the system playbooks, which we'll get into later, the system. Then step 2 is rage as a business model. The only way to monetize and sell courses is to get eyes on you, right? And that's why oftentimes you see me making fun of these rage bait clips, because that's what these people are trying to do. It's working. You've rage baited me, but I'm making fun of you, right? Joke's on you. And it's funny. And it makes me money. So I guess I'm, in a way, on the other side of the coin. But anyway, the content slowly shifts from advice to anger because they have to, feed the algorithm. And the algorithm rewards rage bait, hyperbole. Women are often the villain of the red pill movement, but it escalates to society. Creators escalate from misogyny to society, and from society to the system, which brings us to the Matrix framework. You've heard this, from Andrew Tate kind of coined it, but everything gets wrapped up in a narrative now. You're asleep. You got to escape the Matrix. They don't want you to know this. They want you to stay asleep. And this is a powerful tactic because it makes the audience, who again are usually young guys, feel special. And it discourages outside criticism. And this is key because it builds dependency on the creator and the message. Look at the look-maxing movement. It taps into the emotional state of young men's insecurity, resentment, obsession with status. And then the Manosphere reframes it into, it's not just you, Yes, you need to look max, but it's not just you. You need to do this because it's society. And then the more extreme community step in and say, here's why the system is rigged. And here's the handoff point. You get this vague enemy you got to create. And at first, they is super vague. It's elites, it's media, it's institutions. It's the system, it's they. But over time, over the years, in extreme spaces, with certain content creators, that vagueness can get filled with specific scapegoats. And this is where it becomes dangerous. Because it shifts from criticism to conspiracy thinking, and it keeps escalating because it has to keep escalating. The creator has incentives to keep you angry, to keep you watching, to keep you buying. They feed off each other. They have to. The content gets more and more extreme and more explosive and emotional and divisive because it has to get more inflammatory. The threshold is raising. Normal balanced takes don't really convert anymore. And so the pipeline reaches the real point, which is that it's not really about masculinity. It's not about money or dating. It's about monetizing dissatisfaction and guiding people deeper into a worldview that keeps them engaged. And now, alas, we've arrived at anti-Semitism. And it's just interesting to me because you look at these guys who you've seen their full journey into it. You look at Sneeko, Marlon Gaines, Nick Fuentes, the Tate brothers themselves. And, that Hail Hitler bus moment where they all were like Sieg Heiling to the Kanye song. It was kind of the exact moment the crossover became abundantly clear to me and the evolution of the Red Pill movement was complete. The movement emerged from its cocoon as a fully evolved butter Nazi, a butterfly, a Nazi fly. But I've watched it happen, and it's like an amalgamation of all these things, like the death of MAGA and the evolution again of how this movement has reared its ugly head and become something kind of unrecognizable. And I see people who, probably didn't intend to end up here, and they're just like kind of being Nazis. And they don't even really realize it. They don't even see it. And we can all be critical of, governments and whatever. We don't got to get into this, but it's just been really fascinating watching how it starts as self-improvement, turns into a business model, and ends as a belief system, and has kind of become this weird 4chan cult, has reared back up. All roads lead to 4chan. It's a cult. It's a cult that keeps changing, but it is fascinating. I encourage you to watch The Manosphere on Netflix. And you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. The kids are not all right. Good luck. And that's going to conclude our show, guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. I know there was a lot to unpack in this episode. Maybe, if you're watching on Spotify or Apple Music, you like the show, you subscribe to the show, you save it to your device, you give it a 5-star review, send it to a loved one. Then you head on over to YouTube and you watch it again, because you should be watching on YouTube. Isn't that right, Gengar? Isn't that right, baby Gengar? Isn't that right, triumphant Gengar? If you're watching on YouTube like you should be, tap the like button, smash the fuck out of that subscribe button, and grease up that algorithm with your Iranian oil, because you're an oil man, and we've lifted the sanctions. And I want to thank you for tuning in. I mean, we're at episode 145. We're getting close to 150, and before you know it, we're going to be on episode 400, and you're going to be 40 years old. I want to thank you, Beyonce, for giving me the opportunity to have this show, and I want to thank you one final time from episode 145 for joining me as the world continues to crumble. Good night, and good luck. Look at that curl. Check it out. Pikachu, what's it called? With who? That's me. bitch.